So I admit there has been a lot of things that have been going around in the United States, especially when it comes to President Donald Trump and his administration, and even a little bit in other parts of the government. I'm actually going to talk about a lot of those things. In fact, I think there are like 5 things that I plan to talk about. So the first one is obviously Sean Spicer. On Friday, he resigned as press secretary, and now Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be named as a new press secretary for the White House. While during this time, a communications director named Anthony Scaramucci will be taking care of being the director of communications in the White House. I'm not really surprised that this happened because, well, as we already know, Sean Spicer has been out of the spotlight for a long time, and now Sarah Huckabee Sanders has obviously taken that away from him. And I'm kind of indifferent toward this move, because although I kind of like Sean Spicer, I admit that he was definitely a little bit hostile, and he didn't really have too much of commanding authority, unlike Anthony Scaramucci, which, as you saw from I think it was the NBC News interview with him, he actually commanded the entire interview, despite the fact that that one reporter was actually trying to interrupt him and trying to maybe even squeeze in some new material for that. But again, this is just the beginning of this new change in terms of communications. In fact, Anthony Scaramucci is said to take his place. I think it was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, to actually take their roles this August. They haven't made a specific date yet, but that would probably change. Now, to continue on, let's see here. This is a little bit more on on basically Russia, and I know we're going back to Russia again, but here are a few things. Just today, Jared Kushner, who, if you do not know, happens to be an advisor to the President of the United States and Donald Trump's son-in-law, has already testified in closed door session of Congress I don't recall what committee it was, but it definitely was relating to basically intelligence, or at least I think it was related to intelligence. But here's what happened. According to the Washington Post, after his closed door questioning, Kushner spoke briefly to reporters outside the White House. "Let me be clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so," he said. "I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on Russian funds for my businesses, and I have been fully transparent in providing all requested information." Just from what he continually says, I honestly think that he's trying to be made as a scapegoat in terms by the media and by the Democrats, especially in the Senate and the House of Representatives. I mean, he is obviously the son-in-law of Donald Trump and an advisor to the president. The fact that we haven't really heard much in terms of what he actually said, since it was a closed door session, kind of interests me in a little bit, because for the Democrats who really want to try to continue on with this narrative that Donald Trump is colluding with the Russians and whatnot, they're making it closed doors. They're not laying it out to the entire world. And as far as I know, there has been no release of information as a result of this closed hearing. So, to be honest, I think there is really nothing that they got from Jared Kushner in terms of colluding with the Russians, or even anything as ammunition against President Donald Trump. Now, continuing on with a little bit of Russia, I've heard a little bit about basically this one allegation on Jeff Sessions. It was said that Jeff Sessions was actually recorded that he was actually talking to the ambassador of Russia at the time during the campaign, and basically he was talking a little bit about the election. This is considered just an allegation, so we don't know for sure if that's the case. To be honest, considering that how long that this Russian narrative has been spread around, I wouldn't be surprised if this turned out to be bogus. So I'm not saying that I am taking this completely off the table, but I am definitely having my doubts about it. I would lie to say otherwise. Now, that actually leads me into another one of my topics, which is about Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the possibility that Donald Trump may replace him. I think that's a bad move. Now, I get the fact that Donald Trump is definitely infuriated with the fact that Jeff Sessions is not doing too much in this Russian investigation, but I don't think it's Jeff Sessions' fault. I think it's the Democrats and those people who just claim that he's a Russian conspirator or something. It is the real people to blame. Because really, Jeff Sessions wants to get this stuff done. I believe so. But the problem is, he has to deal with a lot of this controversy, which also involves him. Let's be clear. Jeff Sessions was definitely an ally of Donald Trump, especially through the campaign. And he was actually one of the first senators to endorse Donald Trump. To say that he wouldn't recuse himself from any Russian investigation, that would definitely give people the idea he might be something like Loretta Lynch, basically covering her ass and covering the Clintons' asses. But instead, he's just recusing himself. I understand I understand that Donald Trump is furious about this, but I don't think it's a good idea to take Jeff Sessions out of this picture. I mean, he's obviously one, an ally, and two, he really actually is very influential. As he is in fact was named as one of the most conservative senators at the time while he was in the Senate. So I do not believe that just trying to just get rid of Jeff Sessions is a good idea. I think he should be left there and stay there. Besides, he has some good experience as an attorney as well. So to have someone else do that, I can't see that happening. But continuing on, and this has just happened today. Donald Trump made a speech about basically gain as many senators as possible to vote on the repeal and replace Obamacare bill that is currently held in the Senate. Now, it is kind of closed doors over what is kind of mentioned in the bill so far, but there is possible talk that there may have been an added amendment like the Cruz Amendment. Now, Ted Cruz once stated on Fox News that his amendment was meant to lower pensions. I think it was pensions, and so he saw this as a way to basically get both moderate and conservative Republicans to stand together and support this bill. Hell, maybe even get a few Democrats along the way. Who doesn't love lower pensions? But here's the thing with Donald Trump's speech. He was also calling on Democrats. He kind of painted tomorrow's vote as basically a chance at according to NBC News, and I quote this: a chance at redemption for Democrats in the moment of truth for Republicans to have long promised to get rid of Obamacare. Definitely a big thing. He's actually getting some of the Democrats to try to join his side. And he's putting pressure on the Republicans, especially those who said that they would vote against it, to actually say yes to this. This is kind of a good tactic. But I wouldn't be surprised if the votes turned out to actually fail. It would definitely surprise me that it would actually be passed in the Senate by a narrow margin, but still, that is a very unlikely possibility. I'm not saying that it might happen, I'm not saying it might not happen, but there's just a lot of baggage in terms of Republicans voting against this bill, and especially the Democrats. And as we already know, pretty much every single Democrat in the Senate will not support this bill. They will not. But I think it's a good try that Donald Trump is actually trying to trying to reach out to Democratic senators in order to help pass this bill. And I think that's something that is really needed. But here's the thing with his speech. This definitely is trying to put pressure on the Republicans. Loads amount of pressure, and because he's not only is he telling Obama the current situation with Obamacare, how it's falling apart, but he's also updating the people of the United States over the current efforts of repealing and replacing. Basically, he's putting targets on these Republican senators. One way or another, they will have to go through election. And when they vote, if they vote no, it could mean that their election is over and they will never again be part of the Senate. This is definitely a big issue. It's definitely, I think it's going to have a major impact over voting, mainly from those who said that they wouldn't vote for this bill on Obamacare, on repealing and replacing Obamacare. That's just a big thing, and I would be surprised if the bill actually did go through, but I wouldn't be. It wouldn't make too. I don't think it would actually mean too much. Or what I mean is that it would definitely have partisan support, and there would be some disagreements within the Republican Party over what should be done. I think that's gonna happen one way or another. Whether this bill fails or whether it passes. I'm just saying. But let's just see for tomorrow. That's currently all the news I have for you today. I am Noah Meehan from The Arc of Truth. Post comments down below. Share this video, subscribe, and like this video. Okay, bye.